I spent 43 years as a clinical psychologist, listening to people describe the exact same problem. A boss, parent, or spouse doesn't respect them, and they want to know how to make that person change. The uncomfortable truth is, you are actively teaching people to disrespect you right now, and you likely have no idea you are doing it. You cannot force anyone to respect you. You can't negotiate for it, and you can't demand it. What you can do is stop the specific, daily habits that actively invite disrespect into your life. The most common failure happens the moment someone questions a choice you have made. The immediate instinct is to launch into a detailed explanation. You present evidence, cite reasons, and essentially build a legal case for why you made your decision. This diagram illustrates the exact shift in power dynamics. When you offer excessive context to someone who has no legitimate reason to require it, you position yourself beneath them. The endless explanation sends a clear message. Your decisions require their approval, and you need them to agree before you can proceed. I had a patient in her 40s, a brilliant architect, who could not understand why her mother still treated her like a child. Every time her mother questioned a career move or a parenting choice, this woman would spend 20 minutes defending herself, and her mother just kept questioning because the explaining itself was the problem. I suggested she try a different approach. The next time her mother asked why she did something, she was to say, "Because I decided to," and then remain silent. 2 weeks later, she called me in tears. Her mother had been confused, then irritated, and finally, respectful. The endless justifications were a subconscious plea for validation. By stripping away the explanation, she removed her mother's ability to cast a vote on her life, immediately reclaiming her personal authority. The second behavioral shift requires fighting your natural instincts. When someone says something disrespectful, the standard reaction is to fire back immediately with anger, a defense, or a deflection. Research shows that people who respond instantly to provocation are perceived as reactive and lacking authority. Contrast that with the deliberate, commanding choice of absolute, unmoving silence. You do not have to respond immediately. You do not have to respond at all. Years ago, a colleague of mine was dealing with a younger man who constantly interrupted her in meetings. I told her that the next time he cut her off, she should simply stop talking, turn, and look at him. Do nothing else. She held that stare for 5 seconds. The room went completely still. The younger man actually stumbled over his words trying to fill the void she had created. His interruptions were designed to provoke a reaction. By offering none, she starved him of the friction he was fishing for. He never interrupted her again. Silence is not passive surrender, and it isn't sitting quietly while seething on the inside. It is an active refusal to participate in a power game you did not consent to play. Sometimes withholding your speech is not enough. You have to escalate the boundary to your physical presence and remove yourself entirely from the environment. Another patient asked how to handle a husband who constantly dismissed her opinions. I told her to stop arguing her case. Instead, the exact moment he dismissed her, she was to stand up and walk out of the room. No announcement, no argument, just gone. The first time he was stunned. The second time he was angry. The third time he caught himself. She hadn't changed his mind about her. She changed what treatment she was available for, and he modified his behavior to avoid the consequence of her absence. Why do so many people stay in chronically disrespectful environments for years, hoping the other person will eventually change? The chains keeping people in place are rarely physical. They are rooted in dependency, financial fears, family pressure, or the blind hope that things will get better. These are real, tangible weights that keep you anchored while someone treats you poorly. To break those chains, you must build structural autonomy. That means securing the legal, financial, and emotional independence required to make walking away a survivable option. Genuine self-respect is impossible without the literal autonomy to back it up. You cannot enforce a boundary if you have nowhere else to go. There is a final, absolute condition for respect. To enforce your own value, you must be willing to lose the relationship entirely. This animation shows the fatal power dynamic at play. The moment your need to keep a person in your life outweighs your need to be respected by them, the structure collapses. You have already communicated they can treat you however they want, and they will act accordingly. I learned this in the most painful way possible. My son Robert and I had a difficult relationship. He felt I was too critical of his wife, and he was right. But when he confronted me, my pride wouldn't allow me to admit fault. I defended myself. I justified. I did everything I just told you not to do. He drew a line to protect his marriage. I tested it, and I lost. He stopped calling. I haven't heard his voice in 18 years. It breaks my heart. But the painful paradox is that I respect him for it. He was willing to lose the relationship with his own mother to preserve his self-respect. I chose my pride, and he chose his boundaries. Genuine self-respect means accepting that enforcing your boundaries will sometimes cost you the people you love. But protecting your autonomy is the only way to ensure disrespect simply has no place to land in your life.